And welcome everybody. I'm Brother Dan Goodwin. This is Dr. Charles Hiltemiddle sitting here with me. And you're listening to or viewing Prophecy in the Spotlight. We got an exciting show for you today. Doc, I want to read a verse to get us started, and I think you have one. We're gonna talk today about what's going on with the World Health Organization, the WEF, World Economic Forum. We're almost the global system is ready.
It is here,
and in many aspects, it's already in force.
Yes.
I mean, I think our government's been took over. I think China's running us here. But let me read a verse to get us started, and then you've got a verse in Zechariah. But let's start with Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7 and Daniel chapter 2 go together. Our viewers would know that if they watch us very often. Chapter 2 talks about the statue, the head of gold, which was the nation of Babylon, and then all the way down to the feet and the 10 toes. Daniel 7 is the same chapter, but it looks at those same kingdoms as wild beasts and animals instead.
Yeah. Chapter 2 is man's evaluation of Gentile rule.
Yep.
Chapter 7 is God's evaluation of the beast nature of Gentile rule.
Of course, Nebuchadnezzar had the dream. He saw the statue. Daniel is given the vision of the animals, the wild. And one of the lessons we get from this is you cannot tame these kingdoms. It's a wild, you can only chain them up and restrain them, which the founders understood for America. They said the Constitution
That's what it was supposed
was to be chains around the ankles of the government, the beast.
That's why the Constitution's being set aside today.
So that, and they've shook the shackles off. These guys are ruling by executive order, and the news media is helping them, and what a disaster we have today. But so here we are in chapter 7 talking about these four beasts. Verse 17 says these great beasts, which are four kings. But I want to go all the way down to verse 23 because this kind of applies to our show today. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth. And by the way, that's Rome, the Roman kingdom, which is still here, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms and shall devour the whole earth. In other words, this kingdom is going to turn into the revised Roman Empire, which is happening right now, and it's going to devour the whole earth. It's going to control the whole earth. You know, people think Rome is gone. No, everything about Rome is still here. Great Britain and America both use the systems.
It's not the same in the context of how it was set up in ancient days, but its ruling, its laws, all of that's still in force.
The Roman Senate, and we use that. We got it from Great Britain. Great Britain got it from ancient Rome, and how the government was set up, and the financial system.
And your fourth beast is diverse. It's different than all the others.
Yeah, and it's made up of all different peoples.
And so it says it's the whole earth.
And they're going to devour the whole earth and shall tread it down and break it in pieces, which I believe is what's happening with the World Health Organization, the WEF, all these three-letter organizations, and leading to the takeover and the globalization of the world. You've got a verse for us in Zechariah.
Zechariah is given 8 visions, all in sequential order from the time of the captivity ending all the way to the end of the millennial reign. 7th vision, he says this, and I said, what is it? Talking about the ephah that's going up. He said, this is an ephah that goeth forth. He said, moreover, this is their resemblance through all of the earth. And then he gets to the end of it, and he talks about how that it's going to return to the land of Shinar and be established and set there on their own base. In other words, just before the millennial reign, something's going to be on a global scale that it appears to be like it was in the days of Nimrod at Shinar, a one world order, a one world religion, and a one world economic system. We're here.
Yeah. So let's start with the WEF, because we're going to probably spend more time with the other stuff, but the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, we call him Santa Claus, and his partner, the guy that's with him, I can never remember his name, but who's probably more dangerous than Schwab is, but they're waiting and hoping for the reset. They're waiting for the world's economic systems to crumble.
And they're doing everything to see that happens.
And the world's going to come on their knees begging for help and I think they're going to reset this thing. I think all debt's
Well,
gonna
they've
be
already
forgiven.
got the plan for reset, and this is what electronic money is coming on for, so that it can be controlled of this nature. Yes.
So somehow, now I don't know if they're talking about personal debt or just government debt, but somehow they're going to, and
there's going to be a lot of losers, and it's not going to be the wealthy. It's going to be the middle class wiped out.
I've always felt like part of the carrot that the Antichrist brings to get, crowned by the world, I've always felt like debt forgiveness was going to, plus the building of the temple, was going to be part of this.
It could, because in the book of Daniel, he talks about the Antichrist sharing the booty of the world, causing craft to prosper. Yeah. So it's obvious economic things has got to be a part of that.
Now, do God's people got to be concerned about this?
No, we're not going to be here.
No.
But that doesn't mean that the stage for all of this won't already be in operation when we're out of here at the rapture.
Even though the mark of the beast doesn't happen till the middle, that doesn't mean the system of the currency.
It's not a cold turkey one day to the next.
That's right.
It's a moving forward, and we're watching that movement now.
And it's very possible the one world financial system will already be in place.
It could well be. It could be in place tomorrow.
And then in the middle of tribulation, when the Antichrist enters the temple, he becomes God.
Yeah.
Now it's controlled by him, and you're gonna have his mark.
But everything for that system in chapter 13, we can see the formation of that right now. Yeah. Yes.
Now, the World Health Organization has been meeting. In fact, as I'm speaking here, this is the 25th, I think, of May. It won't be when you folks watch this. The World Health Organization, I think, is still in session. And there's a couple people over there that have been on Steve Bannon's war room. One of them is a lady, her last name is Bin Laden, of all things, but she's a conservative. Mm-hmm. And then Michelle Bachmann is there. Right. And I've heard Michelle Bachmann 2 or 3 times on Steve Bannon's show explain what's really going on there.
It's amazing. These elitists of the world are going to determine life for everybody on planet Earth.
She said, not one person in the World Health Organization was elected by anybody.
No.
They're non-elected, at least from America's point of view. There's no elected officials. What we're doing, and I think she says we've already started the process of giving up our sovereignty when it comes to medical emergencies and injections, and you know what I'm talking about.
Somehow or another, I don't know how it works, but I was told that there's an existing treaty that nations have signed on to, and somehow or another they've made an amendment to it or an addition to it. I'm trying to figure out how that can happen constitutionally without the ratification of our Congress.
And she said it's a 2/3, not just a majority. 2/3 of Congress has to vote on every treaty. So how could you change the wording of a treaty without going back to them 2/3 again?
I don't know. Well, we're watching our nation bypass the Constitution.
But she said
in every
we've got
direction.
to get on the phone. We've got to deal with this. Congress has got to wake up and put an end to this before it's too late. And she says there's not one congressperson represented at the World Health, not one. Now, Michelle Bachmann is a former congresswoman.
Yes. But
she says there's no sitting congressperson, Senate or House, that is at that meeting. And she says we need to realize what's happening.
Yes, and they're going to determine, in other words, if an outbreak of something happens somewhere on the other side of the globe, they can dictate what we do over here.
And not only dictate...
If you think what we went through for 2 years with this last supposed pandemic, I call it a pandemic.
You said it right the first time.
What we went through with all, if you think, can you imagine all of that being imposed upon us by a complete outside source? That's exactly what's getting ready to happen.
Non-Christian for the most part. These people come from a globalist, non-biblical point of view.
Well, here's the thing, Dan. They are hardcore evolutionists.
Yeah.
And folks, I'm convinced, not only is Genesis the foundation of the Bible, Genesis is the foundation for it all. Mm-hmm. And if you don't believe in God the Creator, and you're a hardcore evolutionist, then you believe that because you're so smart and you've been so successful by the world standard, I must be more evolved than you are. So that means I have a responsibility to help the human race go farther in evolution.
So is that why these guys fly around in their personal jets? Because they're more evolved and they need to get around, so they get in their jets and they
it's
burn,
okay.
they pollute.
It's okay for them to pollute.
But us, we've got to ride
can't.
bicycles.
Yeah, or you can't have a cow because of the, you know how it goes. Did you see that in England here a while back? They made these masks to put on the cows in case they burped.
Oh, in one country they said you were only allowed to have 2 cows or something.
Yeah, and
it's madness.
3,000 farms are being closed in Holland.
Madness.
You know, these people, because they literally believe in evolution.
Now, the viewer is asking, how did we get here? It's very simple. We got away from God. Great Britain threw
Go
God
to
out
Romans
a
chapter
long time ago.
number 1, and you'll discover exactly how we got to where we are here.
Yeah. We've thrown God out. The biblical moral beliefs of the Bible, we threw them out with it. Ten Commandments.
Because God will continue to give you up.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done until God finally gives you over.
No Bible believer can be an evolutionist. No Bible believer can believe in climate change. No, not climate change, but global warming and all that. We're not going to burn to death.
Well, climate change into their mind is different than what you think. Climate changes all the time. It was cooler this morning than it was yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
Climate changes. It was raining the other day and it's not today.
Yeah. But they believe if we don't do something, when the world's going to destroy itself. No Bible believer would ever make a stupid statement like that, because the Bible tells us how it ends.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of Christians get concerned because they hear all of this hoopla out there by pseudoscientists, and they're worried. Folks, don't worry. The world's not coming to an end until it's time for the great white throne judgment, the end of the millennial reign.
Yeah.
Till then, it's going to have its hell on earth. It's going to have its wars and everything else, but it's still going to be here until the end of the millennial reign.
God placed us here. We're stewards of the earth.
Yes.
And by the way, there's bad stuff. There's pollution. There's people who misuse the world, and especially when you take God out of the picture. I mean, people litter. I've never seen it so bad.
But it's amazing how God's creation, when something gets out of balance, it's amazing how creation itself can correct an imbalance. Doesn't require us doing anything of the nature that they're talking about.
Yeah.
Creation is an amazing thing.
And if it wasn't for man, you couldn't walk through the woods. It'd be stuff falling everywhere. Man as the steward of the earth,
we're to be stewards of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're about out of time, Doc. Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the program today. We're viewer-supported, listener-supported. If you'd like to help, go to the website, prophecyinthespotlight.com. You can donate right from there. We have no sponsors. We stay on the air because of the gifts of God people. If you're listening via the radio and you like what you hear, consider sending us a donation to help us pay for the TV time and all that. And we appreciate you all very much. We'd love to hear from you. There's an email on the website, and you can contact us through there. I think the phone number flashes up here, and we'd love to talk to you. Well, until next time, keep your eyes on them skies.